a wolf lifts its muzzle to the open night sky and howls, slowly and very deliberately, out into the surrounding darkness of the empty landscape. The sound rises slowly, holds steady for a moment, then gradually falls, a long wavering tone carrying far out across the open landscape around it. This single sound can travel up to 10 full kilometers across open ground, depending on the exact conditions that night. Every wolf within that entire range hears it clearly. And every wolf that hears it understands something quite specific from the sound alone, without needing to see anything at all. Not simply that some wolf is somewhere out there nearby. Who this specific individual wolf actually is. Roughly how many other wolves are traveling closely alongside it right now. Whether a particular territory is already claimed, whether the sound itself is a warning or instead a call to come back home. The howl, in this genuine sense, is not merely just a sound. It functions as a complete sentence. Sometimes, depending heavily on context, it is an entire paragraph. First, let's address the paradox directly. Night is generally when predators hunt most actively. So why would any animal announce its own position so loudly? In the darkness, being heard by something genuinely dangerous seems like an obvious and serious risk. So what exactly makes that risk worth taking, night after night, year after year? As it turns out, sound actually travels considerably farther at night. Cool, dense air near the ground bends sound waves downward, keeping them close to the surface. A howl that carries roughly 8 kilometers at noon can easily carry 10 kilometers or more once midnight arrives. Night, quite simply, is when the acoustic channel between animals is at its very clearest. That is part of the full answer. Wolves are also, in most of the specific places where they actually live today, the true apex predator of that ecosystem. Almost nothing else out there is actively hunting them once night finally falls. The genuine risk of being heard by something dangerous is comparatively low. The real benefit of being heard by pack members is comparatively high. When you run the full cost-benefit calculation, it clearly favors howling, and that is essentially how the paradox gets resolved. The first major function of the howl is territory. A single wolf pack can defend and patrol a range that spans well over 1,000 square kilometers of open land. No pack, no matter how large or well-organized it might be, can physically be present everywhere in that territory at once. But a single howl genuinely can. A territorial howl essentially communicates something specific and layered. This land is already occupied. We are present and genuinely active here, and we know that you can hear us. It functions as a clear warning. Approach any closer and you will encounter a fully defended pack, not simply empty open range. Field research conducted across many years and many packs consistently shows that wolves actively avoid territories where they have previously heard howling, even entirely without any scent marks present. Sound alone is sufficient to establish clear occupancy. The howl, in this sense, is not just a passive warning. It functions as an actual fence. The second major function of the howl is reunion. Wolves within any given pack are frequently separated from one another across a large and genuinely complex territory. When a wolf urgently needs to relocate the rest of its pack, a howl is the primary and most reliable tool it reaches for. A reunion-seeking howl sounds noticeably different from a territorial one in several ways, shorter overall in duration, often rising sharply near the end, far less sustained throughout. The pack's reply, when it eventually comes, encodes direction, approximate distance, and even pack composition, all simultaneously in one sound. After a genuinely successful reunion, wolves engage in an elaborate physical greeting, tails wagging vigorously, faces touching directly and repeatedly, excited short vocal calls exchanged. The original howl is what brought them back together in the first place. The reunion itself is what the whole sound was always for. The third major function of the howl is individual identity. Every single wolf's howl carries its own genuinely unique acoustic signature, unlike any other. Fundamental frequency, pitch modulation, and harmonic structure all vary just enough between individuals to reliably identify one wolf from another. Researchers working extensively in Yellowstone National Park routinely track specific individual wolves by their distinct howl alone, often without ever actually seeing the animal itself. Hearing a familiar packmate's voice changes how the rest of the pack responds immediately. A complete stranger's voice, by contrast, may trigger genuine alarm. A 2021 study led by researcher Eric Kirschenbaum at the University of Cambridge confirmed all of this directly using detailed computer-based acoustic waveform analysis. The resulting algorithm could reliably identify specific individual wolves from their howls alone, achieving genuinely high levels of accuracy. Of course, the wolves themselves had already known this for a very long time. The researchers were, in a real sense, only just catching up. The fourth major function of the howl involves emotional state itself. Pitch, tremolo, and overall acoustic complexity all shift depending heavily on what the wolf is actually feeling. A wolf that has been separated from its pack for an extended period howls quite differently from one simply checking in briefly. Longer, more acoustically layered howls have been directly linked in multiple studies to greater underlying separation distress. Studies conducted repeatedly with captive wolf populations consistently show that overall howling intensity closely tracks the actual strength of the underlying social bond between individuals. Wolves reliably howl more for packmates they are genuinely emotionally close to. The strength of that bond directly shapes the resulting sound. The fifth and final major function of the howl is the chorus howl. When multiple wolves howl together as a coordinated group, they sound considerably larger than they actually are. Each individual wolf spreads its own pitch quite deliberately, working to maximize the apparent overall size of the group to any distant listener. 3 wolves, chorus howling together with deliberate and coordinated pitch separation, can genuinely sound to a distant listener like 7 or 8 wolves instead of 3. This acoustic trick effectively deters rival packs from approaching further. Size matters enormously in territorial disputes, and the howl broadcasts it directly. Controlled playback experiments confirmed all of this directly and repeatedly. Dispersed pitch recordings made rival wolves choose avoidance far more often than simple unison recordings did. A pack's howl also changes dynamically based on whether rivals actually respond to it. In effect, it functions as a live negotiation happening in real time. Chorus howling also appears to build genuine and lasting pack cohesion. Affiliative behavior between individual pack members measurably increases in the hours that immediately follow. The howl functions, in a real sense, as a ritual too, a way of being the entire pack together, briefly in sound, before the long night simply continues. The next time you happen to hear a wolf howl somewhere in the distance, know that it contains identity, territory, and genuine feeling, all layered together at once. That very same wolf from the opening of this video is not, in any real meaningful sense, singing. It is speaking, and somewhere out there, something is already listening closely. If this changed how you personally hear that sound from now on, subscribe. We keep pulling apart the hidden systems behind the wild, one animal at a time. The wild mind is everywhere around us. Keep looking. I'll see you next time.